Open your eyes. This is the life we chose, the life we lead. And there is only one guarantee. None of us will see heaven.
From inside the dead mobster's family, 6 shell casings were on the pavement of East 46th Street, right next to the body of Paul Castellano Sr., the top mafiosi in the United States, the heir to the Gambino family, indeed the son-in-law of the late Carlo Gambino, on trial for conspiracy and racketeering in a case stemming from an alleged auto theft ring. 10 feet away, Castellano's driver and bodyguard, 45-year-old Thomas Galati, the keys to his late model limousine not far from his hand.
They were shot numerous times with automatic weapons. Question. Where were they hit? They were hit in the head and in the body.
There were witnesses, but not many. They told police of an apparently well-trained and heavily armed hit squad.
The only thing we can ascertain at this time is that it was 3 males wearing trench coats who left towards 2nd Avenue, and another witness states that he saw them get into a dark car.
No comment. No comment. How about you? It was last February that Big Paul Castellano refused to comment on his indictment on racketeering charges. Back then, he posted $2 million bail. Tonight, police would not say Castellano was on his way to dinner at the restaurant outside which he was gunned down, though Castellano was known to visit many of the city's better eateries. More interesting to detectives is how the hit team knew to wait for Castellano near the corner of 46th and 3rd. They also want to know how a Patrolman's Benevolent Association card got into the hands of the mobsters and into the window of the limousine at which the hit took place. Relatives of the slain mafiosi visited the scene tonight, positively identifying the bodies. They hid and refused to talk to reporters as they left. Just 2 weeks ago at his federal trial, a witness said of Castellano that the reputed mafia chief had objected to particularly brutal methods to be used in the mob-style hit. Now Castellano himself is the victim of such a hit. The question is whether his death will spark a new mafia war in New York or be the end of one. I'm Dave Browdy, Channel 5 News on 46th Street.
Between his illegal activities and contract killings, he was becoming a wealthy man. He now lived in an expensive home in a middle-class neighborhood with his wife and 3 children.
He was a man, he was begging, pleading, and praying, I guess. So I told him he could have a half hour to pray to God. The circumstances. He'd have that time. But God never showed up. And he never changed the circumstances. And that was that. It wasn't too nice. That's one thing I shouldn't have done, that one. I shouldn't have done it that way.
Between his illegal activities and contract killing, he was becoming a wealthy man. He now lived in an expensive home in a middle-class neighborhood with his wife and 3 children.
He took the bag, door opened it, showed me a whole mess of money. Mess of cash. He said, "Look, I got the money right here." And he came back. He says, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? How am I gonna get this merchandise?" I put the gun under his chin, and I said, "There is no merchandise." And I shot him. He didn't die. gun jammed. He was gurgling. I had hit him. It was, blood was pouring out of his mouth. And, he was in I would imagine he looked like he was in a lot of pain. So there was a tire iron in there. I took the tire iron and hit him with it, which knocked him out. And he died. I then took him and put him in a 50-gallon drum, put it on the side of a motel. It was behind Harry's corner. I listened to the people. I went in Harry's every morning. The thing was there for a long time. I looked at it every day. It was there. I went in Harry's every day. One day it was just missing. Continuing to go in Harry's to see if anything was said about it. Nothing was said. I don't know what happened to the drum.
By the 1980s, Kuklinski was involved in narcotic Gotti's attorneys say Gravano is lying, that it was Gravano who instigated the murders.
I think he was a sociopath. I think he committed homicides because if you had something he wanted, Sammy would kill you for it.
Once a murderer, always a murderer, and they are allowing him to walk the streets.
Sidney DiBernardo's father was killed by Gravano. So was Dina Melito's.
How could you not describe this man as a monster or a beast?
All these women whose fathers were killed say it's an outrage that Gravano went free after just 5 years in prison, and now has his face on the cover of 200,000 books about his life being published today. Gravano argues he has a right to his life story and says he's baffled at the way even the New York tabloids turn on you when you join up with the good guys.
The media treated me real good before I cooperated. I was a hero. It seemed like the more people you kill, the more things you do. I mean, you were a hero. John's still a hero. And after you cooperate, which is strange to me, you become a rat, stool pigeon, canary, the worst scum of the earth to them. As far as being a hitman, I actually was good at it.
Because you were fast and lethal.
And loyal. I didn't. I believed in the life. When I was on your case, I dropped everything.
Look over the list of the murders you were involved in. There, how many?
19.
Serial killers don't have 19.
We're worse than them. But again, putting it out, Hollywood, newspapers, we only kill ourselves. We worry. We don't bother public. Seems to like us. Seems to like what we do. Look at John Gotti. If I have 19, he has to forget about what he's got. When he ordered a hit, he wanted it done yesterday. He would send me to either supervise or control it or make sure the job got done. I obviously did. When you're the boss, you're giving the orders. You're credited with all of them, even if you're not on the street.
But you'll hear this.
But here's the thing. You know, you go play baseball, and I've tried to say this is, so many different times when I'm talking to you. We'll play baseball, and a guy plays one game, and he gets a base hit. He's going to remember that for the rest of his life. It's the only game he played. I did this day in and day out. So when someone said, did you kill Georgie Grasso? I'll give you names. Did he shoot him in the head? Yes, I did. Did somebody say, did you kill Johnny Cabot? Yes, I did. I ordered him dead. Did you kill Bruce Cotterell? Unfortunately, I'm friends with his family now. Yes, I did. I ordered him dead. Did you shoot Mike Levesque in the chest? In protocols, he testified against you 25 years. Yes, I did. Did you shoot Ricky Schway? Johnny, did you shoot him? Yes, I did. Did you shoot Paul G in front of John Gotti Sr.'s house and you didn't care what's in front of his house? Yes, I did. Did you shoot debunked some of the stories and said that never happened. Testified, and he's on tape. It'll be out in Perfect Gangster 2. Dino Finelli helped me get rid of the guns afterwards. Seen tons of blood all over. These are regular guys. Dumped the guns for me. And testified also and did an interview on tape. Carmine Brown, multi-millionaire, legitimate guy, owns Tomatoes Restaurant. Testified, I did. He was on the property. Steve Lacrotondo, an insurance man, regular guy. Testified, I did. So, when guys are talking out of line or out of school, I hear it all the time. So why is Sammy Gravano, the underboss of family, talking about me in that way? Why did Ronnie Warner, captain in the Gambino family, I robbed all his bookmakers? He was a one-time friend of mine. I robbed Jojo Carrazzo, at one-time concierge of the family, robbed his bookmakers. What, anybody get any retaliation against me? I robbed two of them. I put my name in his mouth and I taped it. Steve Catalano was there. He's still alive. Johnny Burke's in jail, even though I don't like the kid. He was there. He didn't want to come near the guy because the guy was too big. So these guys are alive. I can go on. Why did Ronnie want to, in his own words, in his opening statement, say if I ignite the Johnny Haley, he'll kill me like he killed everybody else?
When it comes to John Gotti, they are just counting the days. We are days away from the indictment of the reputed Godfather. But some mobsters are also counting the days till they get a chance at mob-style justice. Pablo Guzman has this exclusive report.
Channel 5 News has learned that the long-expected indictment against John Gotti and his top associates will be returned by the end of the month. It will cover a broad range of alleged racketeering activities, including several murder charges, number one being the December 1985 pre-Christmas slaying of Paul Castellano outside Spark Steakhouse in Midtown Manhattan. The killing of Castellano and top aide Tommy Bellotti reportedly cleared the way for the Gotti crew to take over the Gambino crime family.